don't know about you, but I've noticed over the past couple of years that more and more people are starting on their spiritual awakening journey. And so I thought it would be super helpful to share the 5 life-changing stages of a spiritual awakening journey. And not only that, but at the end of this video, I'd like to give you all a beautiful piece of divinely channeled guidance specifically for you. So let's get into it. Aloha, beautiful souls. My name is Ryan of tranSOULution, and I am here to assist you along your spiritual journey and deep transformation. As I explain these stages, it's just important for everybody to know, like, let's just create a little box, a little context, is that you can be at any one of these stages for weeks, months, years. It all really depends on your specific journey. And so I wouldn't really put a timer on when you need to get out of a stage or when you need to move on to the next one. And oftentimes these stages, they will overlap a little. There will be like this period between one stage and the other stage where they're kind of blending in together. So the first stage is the wake up and the shake up. And this stage tends to be brought about by some kind of event, some kind of trigger, and it comes in 2 flavors. So the first flavor is something that's a bit chaotic, and it tends to be something like a health scare. Maybe you got some kind of injury, or you're diagnosed with some kind of medical problem that really, woke you up, right, and shook you. Another thing could be the loss of a job, right? And the third example would be the end of a relationship. So like romantic breakups are really common. Now, the second type of trigger could be something that's a little less chaotic. It could be something more like just an epiphany, a spontaneous epiphany or metaphysical, spiritual experience that shifts your perspective on things, that kind of opens your eyes to another perspective. And a lot of people at this stage of the journey, they start to wonder, like, there has to be more to life than this. Is this really what it's all about? Is this what my life has amounted to up to this point? And what's kind of cool about this stage is that people start to notice things like synchronicities. How many of you remember that point in time when you started seeing like repeating numbers, those 111s, 222s, 333s, on clocks, on license plates, on receipts, whatever. And you're like, wow, this is weird. I never used to notice this before. And some people also notice synchronicities where it's like you think about something and then shortly thereafter it shows up in your life. Pretty cool stuff, right? Aside from the chaos that may have preceded it. And this is really that signal that your soul is ready for some type of change. How many of you remember this part of your journey? How many of you remember that event or that trigger? Comment what it was down below, because it's really cool to kind of compare notes with other people. And now the second stage is the inquisitive stage, or what I like to think of as like the nerding out stage, okay? So in this stage, you realize that something has got to shift, something has got to change in your life. And now you have tons of questions and you're looking for answers and you're looking for explanations as to like, what is going on? Where is this all headed? And in this stage, people can be doing things like, binge watching YouTube videos, wink, wink, or Gaia TV even. Some people, if you're like me, you like to read, right? You like that ad-free content. And so you like to read about what it is that you're going through and hear from people who have been on this journey and have some like level of expertise from their experience. Maybe some of you can even think of like a book or someone that you gravitated towards that kind of helped you at this stage. Comment it down below, because your references and your resource could help somebody else along their journey as well. So let us know what books or what people or channels that you kind of subscribe to during this inquisitive nerding out stage that helped you get your bearings. Now, some people, they even attend master classes or workshops to kind of get some experience themselves as they're in this learning phase, right? Experiential learning, I think, is a great way to go about exploring your identity, yourself, and moving forward on your journey. So this stage often feels like an emotional roller coaster, like a lot of ups and downs, because on like one hand, you're really excited because there's this whole realm of possibilities available to you now. And on the other hand, it can make you feel very like nervous because you don't know what's going on and it's so different than what you're used to. And you even can feel a little bit of loneliness at this stage because it feels like for a lot of people, like they're going through this by themselves. It's like no one really around them is experiencing the same thing. So some people think to themselves, wow, am I going crazy? Am I losing my marbles? At some point on this stage, this desire for learning and understanding reaches a point where your higher self, your soul is legit like, oh, okay, so this person is super invested on this journey, on this growth, on this evolution of themselves. So let's dig even deeper, which brings us into the next stage. Now, stage 3 on your spiritual awakening journey is called the dark night of the soul. How many of you have heard of that before, right? And for those of you that haven't, it sounds a bit ominous. I like to think of it as the dark night of the ego. I learned from another person that is really just the dissolving of your ego structure, your ego mind to make way for this new version of you that is emerging. And I think that makes so much sense. And so, why is this called the Dark Nights? Okay, well, it's because this stage, it can be really difficult. And that's no exception. It's difficult for everybody who goes through this stage. This is just part of the growth process. And the other reason why it's called Dark Night, it's because all of these things that were hidden in the dark, so they're in the recesses of the mind, deep within the subconscious or unconscious mind, these things are like coming up now. They're coming up to the surface so that you have this level of awareness of them. And oftentimes, these things that are coming up are things like traumas, wounds. These are like belief systems and ideas that are hindering and hampering your growth. They're coming up because they're ready to be released. They're ready to kind of be cleared out of your energetic body and cleared out of that identity that you've had up until this point. And during this phase, it's pretty common for people to kind of go into hermit mode and to spend a lot of time alone and to themselves, right? This stage takes so much energy and focus and so much care that it's really hard to be out there in the world, interacting with people and giving of your energy and time and resources to others because you need that support during this stage. Some people, they fight for control during this stage because the foundation that they built their life on seems to be like it's crumbling around them, right? And that's very alarming, very unsettling. And other people, they grieve a lot during this stage because there's this piece of you that is literally coming up to be released. It's kind of like it's passing on, it's transitioning, it's dying because ultimately you're making way for new growth and new belief systems, new ways of living. Now, in this stage, it's also common and helpful for people to enroll in some type of, program that's several weeks long to kind of guide them through this process, help them do that inner work. And I definitely think one-to-one therapy or one-to-one coaching is super helpful at this time because that therapist or that coach helps serve as like a grounding source for you. And they also give you that outside perspective and kind of remind you of what's happening here in the bigger picture when at times it feels like you're so focused on things that are being lost and so focused on the difficulties of this process and this change. Now, you can think of this stage as like tending to the garden of your soul, right? And in this stage, we're noticing and we're being made aware of the weeds within the garden that are kind of taking up the nutrients and the resources from the things that we want to actually bloom and grow in our garden. So we're taking notice of these weeds and we're actually starting to pull them out because what we want to actually flourish now in our soul, in our minds, in our lives are things that are going to expand us, right? bring more love into our life, bring more joy into our life, more compassion, more abundance. So we have to let go of these weeds, which are limiting beliefs, past traumas and wounds, idea systems, and philosophies that don't support where we're actually wanting to go. Does that make sense to everybody? When you're in the dark night of the soul, it's so important for you to have that support system and that support network. So reach out if you feel like you're in this stage right now. The fourth stage is the healing and integration stage. And yes, you made it through the dark night of the soul. Congratulations. Mabuhay, kampai. So at this point, you probably notice that your vibration feels a lot higher than it did before. You feel this sort of like lightness, this lifting of some heavy weights. You are experiencing like a much needed sense of relief and lightness. Now in this stage, healing can actually happen. The cleansing can actually happen here. And so after you've been through that dark night of the soul where you're being made aware of these wounds and traumas and limiting belief systems, you're thinking to yourself, okay, now what? What do I do with this stuff? How do I move forward on my like highest and greatest and most aligned path? What's really cool about this stage is now you're stepping into this creator role, right? You've identified all these things that don't serve you anymore, and now you get to choose and you get to pick what things you're going to put into your mixing bowl here that's going to bring you that type of life and that type of results you've always wanted. Sometimes people still experience a bit of confusion here because now you're open to this whole world and this whole realm of possibilities, and all of them sound so appealing, and it can be kind of hard to pick and choose. And in this stage, so many lessons have been learned on the journey. Comment down below what lessons that you've learned along your spiritual journey up until this point that can help other people along their journey as well. Now, the fifth and final stage along your spiritual awakening journey is the stage of embodiment and sharing. And so at this stage, you've really integrated fully all of the lessons that you've learned, and now you are living it. You are living that life that you've always wanted. You are making aligned choices, aligned decisions that will help get you where you need to be. And you're really stepping into your authentic self at this point. You are being who you were always meant to be. And at this point too, a lot of people are in the position where they can share. They can share of their time, of their resources, of the knowledge that they've gained with others who are not at the same point on their journey yet. At this stage, there's this feeling of a lot of connectedness to life all around you, connectedness to the earth, to Mama Gaia, to Source, and you have an understanding of your life mission. And it's very fulfilling to be able to act upon that. And what's so lovely about this stage as well is that you are very aware of your vibration and you start connecting with other people who are on that same vibrational frequency as you are. Technically, you're always connecting to people of the same vibrational frequency as you, but this is more of like a synergistic and symbiotic connections that you're forming at this stage. So now you are living life as the authentic you, and you are allowing the soul to live through you. And your ego mind now is just observing life as it plays out. And there you have it, the 5 life-changing stages of your spiritual awakening journey. Now, there are a couple of important things to note as well. So in between these stages, some people are gonna need to take breaks, right? This is a marathon, it's not a sprint. And of course, sometimes things come up in our life that we need to attend to as well, like work duties, family responsibilities. The important thing to know is just to allow yourself the space and the time to just breathe. And then another thing to make note of too is that you can repeat some of these stages. I know for myself, I've had a couple of dark nights of the ego along my journey so far, but honestly, they're well worth it because you come out on the other side feeling freer, feeling lighter, and feeling more aligned. Thank you so much for staying with me through this part of the video. And I haven't forgotten, I did want to offer you this special divine message to aid you along whatever stage you're at. We're going to pull a card from this beautiful divine oracle deck, and I want you to pick a number between 1 and 4 and be prepared to receive your divine message of light, love, wisdom, encouragement, and compassion. So, for those of you who picked number 1, we have expectation. So here's what it looks like. This card is telling you that your expectation is unreasonable. It's time to be real. Your expectation will be matched by the universe. It's time to detach and let go. So what I'm also getting for a lot of people on this stage in their journey is, again, don't compare your journey to anybody else's. Your journey is uniquely your own. And expect that things are going to be challenging and difficult at times, and expect that you're going to need a rest. I mean, you deserve it. You're worth it. And so don't get caught up in the expectations on where you should be, what you should be doing. Let a lot of that go and just be a part of the journey and a part of the ride. It's going to take you somewhere amazing. It just might not be on your timeline or to play out in the way you expect it to, because the universe works in beautiful, brilliant ways. So just trust in that process. Now, for those of you that chose number 2, we have no judgment. Are you comparing yourself with others? Everyone is different and unique. Focus on improving yourself and on your own happiness rather than focusing on others. So here's how the card looks like. Now, what's very important for people who chose card number 2 here is that this is a journey of self-discovery. This is your journey. It's not your mama's journey. It's not your daddy's journey. Not your spouse's journey. This is yours. And so just take it from the perspective of yourself. Even though it's good to hear the advice and guidance and wisdom of others, it's very important for you to have this sense of discernment. Understanding what works for you and what fits you, and then leaving the rest to the side, okay? So take what resonates with you along this journey and then leave the rest. Trust in yourself, trust in the sovereignty within you, and trust your connection with the divine. Your happiness on this journey trumps everything else. And for those of you who chose card number 3, this is your message. Divine timing. Everything happens in divine timing. Your answer will come to you later. Trust the universe. Be positive in every situation, and you will be rewarded with a positive outcome. So remember, you are the creator of your reality. So everything that you're witnessing around you is just a reflection of the inner you, what your thoughts are, what your feelings are. And things will happen all in divine timing. Don't try to push too hard. Again, you're creating those expectations on what you should be doing, where you should be, how far you should have come by now. And that really needs to be released. That needs to be let go, because now you're co-creating with the universe here. And it's very important to acknowledge and believe at this stage that things are happening for you, not to you. And of course, last but not least, we have those who chose number 4. Your message is consultation. Here's what it looks like. We got 2 people here chit-chatting. So you need to expand your horizon and go beyond what you already know. Ask for professional help. Or it is time to research and gain a better understanding about your topic. And so for me, what's very important for people who chose number 4 is to remember that you are not alone in this process, okay? It's so helpful to seek professional help through coaches and therapists to give you that outside perspective and help enlighten you to the things that maybe you didn't know and you weren't aware of along your journey, right? It's good to have somebody there to kind of point out your blind spots and to push you when you need to be challenged, but also hold space and comfort you when you need it. And the other thing that I wanted to mention for those of you who chose card number 4 is to be very mindful of where you're sourcing your information, okay? Because we're in that information age right now where there are so many things and so many opinions and so many people that can give you information on a specific topic. And it's really important at this point in time to really vet your sources, right? To really double check and see where is your information coming from. So use your discernment when you're seeking consultation. Now, if you know anybody who's going through a big shift in their life and could benefit from some of the information shared in this video, please share it with them. Knowledge is power. And if you enjoyed the content of this video, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to this channel so that you can continue to receive the knowledge and wisdom that I have gained to help you along your journey of spiritual growth and deep transformation. Until next time, arigato and sayonara!